Hi guys. So I've been going through your drafts of your ancestors projects, and some of them are quite good. Some comments in general for everyone, because a lot of people are having some of the same issues. So a few things. Make sure you actually do have your narration on there, your audio, your narration of everything. That's part of the project. If you're having problems with narration, please let me know and I can help you with that. Another thing is that you need to have everything that you narrate written out in the notes section for each slide. So whatever you say on each slide should also be written out in the notes. This way I can also see your sources. So that's where you would be citing things in your sources, or you'd be citing your sources would be in the notes. So this is something that you need to do. I know it's in the instructions, so make sure you have that done for your final project, so narration and notes. Something else, well, a couple other things. One is that make sure you're using images, not just text. If you'll remember, I gave some videos and I explained a few things about what I wanted in these projects. And a big thing that I want is visual. When you have a project, when you have a presentation, it gives you the ability to communicate beyond verbal. So beyond words, either written or spoken. That's the beauty of a presentation, is that you have other media through which to communicate, and that's what I want on there. That's what a good presentation does. So limit the amount of words on a slide. Don't give me a lot of words unless you're going to give me maybe a quote from the book, which would be fine if you wanted to put the quote on there, which I know some of you did. But keep the words, keep the written words to a minimum. I know the English teacher is telling you to keep written words to a minimum, right? But for your presentation on the slides themselves, that's what I want. I want more images, pictures, drawings, graphs, charts, whatever would work for you for your project. That's what needs to be on there. So make sure you do that. And then a third thing is that I would go back, I think I said this to almost everyone on their audio feedback, which is make sure that you take a look at the instructions again. There are 3 sections that are in the instructions for the project. I'm going to open it up real quick and kind of read them to you so you remind you. Well, I mean, you're graded on 4 things. One thing that you're graded on is the visual and audio. So the audio has to be clear. It needs to be able to understand you, not staticky, not too quiet. Make sure that you have some nice inflection in your voice. I mean, you're actually presenting. When you do that, you don't want to be too casual. I don't want to hear I. Because then it's an opinion paper or opinion presentation, and that's not supposed to be what it is. This is a scholarly, academic, professional presentation. So you need to go back and take all those I out. Any casualness in your presentation needs to be taken out of it as well. So go back through there and make sure that it sounds professional. And so it says visual audio, it says your narration, and it tells you right here, your narration needs to be written in the notes. You need to communicate both verbally through written and spoken words and non-verbally through images, music, etc. So I'm going to be really looking for all of those things. And then you have to describe. So then the 3 sections of your presentation, these 3 elements need to be in there, and I want them in this order. Describe the ancestor. So you're going to thoroughly describe the ancestor. For most of you, that was not a problem. That was probably what you probably spent most of the time doing. Then validate the influence. There needs to be some section where you show that Mary was exposed to the ancestor, whichever ancestor you have, that she lived at the same time, that she read that type of work, whether it was she was reading Milton's Paradise Lost, which we know she did, whether it was her exposure to the Romantic movement, which you know that she was, she actually married a Romantic writer, she hung out with Romantic writers, she lived during the Romantic period, etc. Whether it's the fact that she, who her parents are, and that she did continue to read her mother's work even after her mother had passed away. I mean, whatever it is, there needs to be something in there that validates that connection between Mary and the ancestor. Sometimes it seems really obvious, but still, please put something in there. The last part of the presentation is supposed to be identify and analyze the connections. This is the biggest part of your presentation. This is worth the most. I mean, this is worth half of your points for the presentation, and this is where most people have fallen short in their first draft. Not only do you need to identify specific elements, so passages in the novel, things in the novel that you can definitely say, hey, this was influenced by the ancestor. That's just the beginning, is identifying it. The next part is really the analysis, and that's where you're going to explain how the ancestor influenced that, and why Shelley included it in her novel. So, for example, let's talk about feminism. So why would she include, well, let's think, I'm trying to think of a really good example. Okay, so Elizabeth dying, why, which is part of is definitely inspired, as far as I'm concerned, by feminism and her mother's feminist beliefs. Because here we have Elizabeth, who was devoted. She, didn't push for the information. I mean, all of these things that she didn't do, and she just blindly said, okay, I'll marry you, even though you have this great big secret. And so she ended up suffering from it. I mean, she ended up dying because of it, because she just so blindly did what Victor wanted, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So why did Mary? So one, that is definitely a feminist influenced moment, the character and her demise, her outcome. But then the bigger question is, why did Shelley include that? Why did she include that message? Why did she include that influence in her novel? And so it would be to maybe, and this is just one possible interpretation, she might have included it in order to show that women should stand up for themselves. She might have included it to show that the way society treats women is unfair. I mean, whatever it might be. But so all of that needs to be there. That's the really deeper, more complex part of this project. Don't forget that the project is supposed to take the place of a paper. And so you have to have the depth of a paper in order for this project to really be equal to that. And this is where you're going to get it. And this is where most everyone's projects are lacking, the depth and the detail, the thoroughness. So that's where you're probably going to need to be focusing. Make sure you listen to the audio commentary that I gave you in your feedback. If you have problems opening it, some people every once in a while have a problem listening to it, and that just may be the browser you're using. So make sure you're using either Firefox or Chrome, because those tend to work the best. And then if you have questions, or if you want extra help with your project, if you want to come see me, please do make an appointment. I'd be more than happy to help you out.